I was asked for some beginners tips for launching and flying this Ranger G2. So, number one, you really need to launch into the wind. We've got a very slight wind. It's a bit hard to tell which direction. It's meant to be coming from that direction, so I would launch out that way. Give yourself plenty of room. When you launch, give it a decent throw. You have to do that with all these pusher style planes. I'd go for about half throttle, 3/4 throttle. Give it a decent throw and it'll be fine. And get your hand ready on the elevator to give it some up trim if you need to. Half throttle, decent throw, and pull back on the elevator a bit to keep it up there. So that's going well now. Try and get a day where there's no wind. It is by far the best thing you can do. If there's any wind, it's a good idea to keep flying up in front of you into the wind. Don't let it go downwind behind you because you'll struggle to get it back. So much easier to fly out in front of you upwind than letting it get too far away downwind. So this plane is very docile. It flies, just cruises around really smoothly. Don't need too much control input. A little bit of aileron there, a little bit of elevator to make it turn. Don't have to worry about the rudder too much to start off with. If you're a real beginner, don't worry about that. You can learn that later on. If you don't use the rudder, it will sort of skid, it will understeer a little bit around in the turns, but that's just not anything you need to worry about to start off with. Eventually you can get into, see, I'm not touching the rudder at all and it's turning absolutely perfectly. But if I now switch the other way, see, it doesn't really want to turn, it wants to go nose up, tail down. And that's what you use the rudder for, to counteract that. I'll show you. So a bit of rudder and it turns nicely, then let go of the rudder. Too much rudder and this is what it'll do. It'll do that. So I'd say just cruise around. I'm on about half throttle there. Aileron and elevator to turn. Keep it up high. Just cruise around. And to land it, this thing does float quite a lot, so where's the wind? Oh shit. Keep your eye on your plane at all times. I looked away there. So I think the wind's now behind me, so I'm going to have to go over here. Stay away from trees, obviously. Motor off, glide it in. Flare when you get near the ground, and that's lovely. Centre of gravity is on the CG marks or a little bit further forward. CG marks are at 77 millimeters back from the leading edge. You could go far. I'd go a few millimeters in front of that, maybe 75, 74 millimeters just to be safe. And you can experiment with that yourself when you get more confident. If you're having to hold the elevator up like that all the time to fly, you need to bring the centre of gravity back a little bit. You can do that by just moving the battery back a little bit. My battery is all the way forward, so I've probably got CG forward a bit. Let's just check that. Oh no, I'm pretty much right on 77 millimeters. If you go further behind 77 millimeters, let's just try that and show what happens. So I'll move the battery back a fair way. So now my centre of gravity is on the back of those CG marks, which is about 85 millimeters. So let's try this one. What we're going to expect to see is, as soon as I launch it, it's going to go nose up and be sort of up and down and hard to control. Making a liar of me. It's still flying perfectly well. Alright, so it's pretty forgiving with centre of gravity. No, I can hardly tell the difference. Alright, so you'd have to have the centre of gravity a long way back to make a big difference. Very forgiving plane. This will glide better now though. Look at those. It is going to glide over my head. That's beautiful. Go around for another circuit. Oops, what's the tree?